Your brain does it on like a fucking day-to-day basis anyway, dude. All the non-important information, your brain just cancels out, so it just doesn't register. I'm sure your brain can do that with the thought that you're clapping a big great man's ass cheeks compared to a big booby anime lady. So I'd fuck Thanos because he's got all the power. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 95 of the Thought Patrol podcast. We are 5 away from our centennial, and we're gonna chill tonight. I got a cold one cracked open. A good old.
Everyone's off tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. Hope you all are having a good Memorial Day weekend. I have worked every day except today, so it has been okay, and I work tomorrow as well. So I'm drowning my depression in alcohol, and I'm glad you all can join us tonight. I got a Budweiser American Red Lager open, a little baby bottle, and we're gonna get a crunk, as the kids say. That's what they say, right, Shawn? Crunk?
That is what they say, circa 2004.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I'm in the right time frame. All right. So, got a few things that happened over the last week. A lot of really big news for Final Fantasy. And for people that don't give a fuck, we have a lot of smaller news things that have happened over the week. But before we get moving forward into everything else, we're going to start quickly with how our weeks have been. This time, Shawn, I'm going to start. I'm feeling a little bit. We're gonna mix things up a bit. Yeah, mix things up a bit spicy. What have I done this week?
Spicy boy. I like it when you're a spicy boy.
I'll try my damnedest. We started Yuppie Psycho on the streams this week. Doing a little.
That was fun.
Doing a little duo stream. It was indeed fun. Had a shitload of fun in that game. If you want to check out the VOD, if I burp, I apologize. I am pseudo intoxicated, but. Feel free to check out the VOD over on twitch.tv/ThoughtPatrol. It was a great time. Had a lot of fun. Looking forward to doing more in the future when I have the time and am able to. But besides that, on the game alone, it's very fucking goofy and fun, and I'm enjoying everything about the world so far. It's just, again, it heavily reminds me of like a modernized version of like the older RPG horror games, just like weird situations that these characters are going through, and you're just kind of along for the ride. It's much more weird and surreal than it is horror at the moment, but there are a little bit of horror elements here and there, but it hasn't gone over the deep end yet. But it's been very fucking fun. I've been enjoying it. The music is fantastic. It's by Garode. It's the same dude that did the music for Valhalla, Cyberpunk Bartending Action. Fantastic game as well. Fantastic soundtrack as well. And that was the only reason that drew me to this game, was the fact that he worked on the OST. And I'm glad that the game itself is fantastic alongside it. So been enjoying playing that. I have not touched it since stream, obviously, but I'm excited to get back to it when we do get another stream going for it. It was a pretty productive stream too. We had a lot of people show up. It was really fucking fun, and just cool to talk to all you guys. So,
yeah, always.
Played Final Fantasy 14. Finished my Astrologian Relic weapon, so that's cool. That was like a month and a half of a grind that came to a completion. Moving on towards the ninja weapon, so we're basically restarting that grind back from ground zero. I was playing right before we started, because I was waiting for Shawn to get ready, and I was helping a dude around. We were trying to do like the first step of the quest line to get all that shit situated, and he could not fly in the area that we were in, and I could, so I basically pulled out the Final Fantasy 15 car, which can seat a few people in it, and I'm like, hop on in, bro. We're going shopping, bitch. And basically took him around all the fates and worked together to get the crystal, and then we set our ways and parted, so I could do the podcast. I should have fucking mentioned that I do a podcast. You think you would have listened? I don't know. But got a network chat. I'm not streaming. You got a network, boys. in all motions. If you start a fucking banana hammock service that mails a banana hammock to your house every month or something, you got to make sure you're networking. Get your information in the right hands, the right minds, that they can share that for all banana hammock lovers to subscribe to your service. That's the same thing with podcasting. Again, Kyle with the fucking clean analogies that could not confuse anyone in any way, shape, or form. It's just a gift. It's the stuff that I can do.
Epic level analogies for sure.
Yeah, dude. I mean, what can I say? I'm just so fucking talented, and there's not much I can do about it. Even I am sick of my own ego. So, but I'm glad that you all can tune in and join us. Did I do anything else this week? Final Fantasy 14. A bunch of Final Fantasy 14 information came out. Again, I'll just barely touch on it, just barely, because it's very exciting for me, seeing the changes that are coming to the game. We're not going to spend too much time on it at all. I don't want this episode to be too long, on top of the fact because it took a little bit longer to get into it from technical issues. There's a new one every month. It's nothing big, but we're here, and that's the best part. No one's died yet, so gotten close, but we haven't kicked the bucket yet. And until that day comes, we'll be doing this. So hope you guys can stick around with us. But fuck, have I played any other games? I can't think of any. We started a really weird show about butt stuff. Saranzamai. It's on Crunchyroll. That's all I'm going to say. It's about butt stuff. I will not tell you anything else, but I implore you to watch it, just the first episode, and then you can do what you want with that information from there. But just keep in mind, butt stuff is there. So you can take that.
It's insanity.
It's insane. That's about all we'll say. I don't want to go anywhere into it because I'd rather you go into it fully blind. But check that on Crunchyroll. Saranzamai. Sam showed it to us, and I do not regret that he did. It is fucking weird as shit, and I enjoyed. Hey, bro, hit a blunt before you go into it, man. Get some friends together, and then enjoy your butt stuff anime together. But besides that, I mean, I don't know. Demon Slayer was fucking fantastic this week, as it usually is. Can't wait to see more from that show. Found out it was 26 episodes, and that made me really fucking erect, Shawn. I have to say, just like super into it, man. And I cannot wait. I love UFO Table. They do some fucking fantastic work. But that's about my week. Been chilling out. I think we're gonna go. Me and my father are gonna go see Brightburn tomorrow for Memorial Day weekend. What best? I've heard it's okay. Nothing fantastic, but it does some of the horror, or it doesn't do the horror well. It does some of the gore pretty well. So we'll see what happens. But I've heard it was okay. And we were gonna go see Godzilla. It's not out yet, so that fucking plan fell apart right off the bat. We had some family over today for Memorial Day weekend. And that's why I am like 6 or 7 beers in before we started. But hey, gonna just add to the flavor of our show. We don't give a fuck here, and I hope you guys don't either, because that's the motto we like to share with our community. We don't give a fuck. But how have you been, Shawn? How's your Memorial Day weekend been so far? And I know you started Final Fantasy 15 for whatever God knows why.
Again,
just play Nier already, you fuck. So we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Well, I already started. I'm finishing the stuff I've already started. I want to get this crossover gear, and they've got it gated behind a fucking chapter like a bunch of assholes. So I'm trying to get up to that chapter so I can do that segment before it disappears tomorrow. I wonder if it's got a time gate inside of the
MMO
software inside, like inside the quest.
It's probably just something that they'll patch. I don't know actually how that would work.
If I disconnect from the internet,
you'd probably have to see. Well, I guess that wouldn't even matter. I don't know. That's a good idea or a good thought. I mean, because then even if it was something built into the let's say the only thing I can imagine is they put like a time frame on it, like an actual clock that ticked down. But then you can just fucking rewind your PlayStation back. I don't know. It's Final Fantasy 15 gear. It's not that fucking important. You know what that reminds me of though, dude? When I used to play Sims 3 on the DS, bro. They had it was like a hotel management game, so you can like build rooms and shit. And I was a piece of shit as a kid, right? I'm still to a degree a piece of shit, but as a kid, I was a big piece of shit. So I wasn't about to sit here and grind out that game. I'm not gonna sit there and make money and shit like that. That's for losers. So what I did was you can basically you get money over time, like real time, and the DS had an internal clock on it. At least the DS Lite did. I don't know about the original DS. And you can go forward in time and you'll get money like every week or some shit from your amenities in your hotel. So I just pushed that bitch into like 2035 and shit like that. Like jumped it super far into the future, made a fuckload of money. I would go to like there's like an art museum where you can make your own art and see if any of my dick paintings sold and like all that other stuff. But the moment you go back in time, everything goes to shit, dude. The moment you step a single hour back in time that you fuck with the internal clock, like aliens invade and the hotel is overrun and everything goes to absolute shit. They're like, you're the time walker, and everyone's fucking trying to kill you and stuff. And you can like ruin your save, like completely lose your save if you go back in time. So I basically just kept pushing my DS forward, and before I knew it, my DS thought it was 2104, and like the Terminators had taken over and shit like that. And I just never went back in time out of fear for losing my save. I don't know if it would actually destroy your save. I just know that aliens basically kidnapped you and destroyed your hotel and shit like that. So I was like, fuck
There's a way
that.
to fuck with people who are trying to
Cheat.
work their way around the game.
Yeah, but I was a smart one. I just never went back in time. I don't know of a reason to go back in time, because like if you build a room, it takes like a week to finish. Who the fuck's gonna wait a week in real time to see a fucking bar go up inside your hotel room? Hell no, dude. I'm gonna just switch the DS time, go ahead a week, and we're good to go. Just never go back, and then you're good from there. You'll never know what time it is. That game was fucking awesome. That was a really fucking fun game. You like woke up in the desert. You could open up like an alien experimentation lab where you could sell their organs for money. Game was the shit, bro. I was all over that game on the DS. I showed my grandma my fucking dick paintings that were selling for thousands of dollars in the fucking art store. It was dope. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Is there anything else you did that was interesting this week? That story just came to mind.
What? No, I didn't realize you'd ask me. I was just contributing to your week.
Oh no, you started with Final Fantasy 15 talk.
Oh no, I was retorting.
Is anything interesting you wanted to share happen?
No, my week was garbage. I've been playing. I moved a little bit farther ahead in Hollow Knight. I've been clearing out Chapter 3 in Final Fantasy 15. I pushed the story forward in Final Fantasy 14, and then lost 2 powerful weapons because fuck my life.
Powerful in light quotations, because they're literally only 5 items score higher than what you were, but...
I've been without any... I've been at 255 for like, what, 20 levels?
The thing is, there's nothing wrong with that, though, because 255 is way above where you're supposed to be, at even 60. So you're fine. I was 255 until 70, and still I started getting 360 gear. But you'll start getting into dungeons where you'll get like really high shit, and then you can move from there.
I like the way the shield looked. I wanted to keep the shield as a paladin shield.
Okay, that's a better reason.
But it's gone now.
Yeah, nah, you'll be fine.
The sword was a fucking overblown Gladius, so I didn't really care.
I wonder what the paladin stuff looks like in Heavensward, because I haven't looked at it yet. All the Heavensward relics are fucking fantastic. Like, they put a lot of effort.
The Heavensward gear, that's the demon gear that I'm wearing.
No, the relics. Like, the ones you have to make over like a month and a half's time. They're all so fucking well done and put together. And then you get into Stormblood and you start doing the Eureka shit, and they're all literally the same theme. I mean, they still look cool, don't get me wrong. They're all like the exact same theme. It's like purple fire over everything, where like the Heavensward ones were all like stupid unique in how they were and stuff like that. But then again, like Eureka isn't anywhere near like what a Realm Reborn and Heavensward relic system was, where you build it up over time. You still do build it up over time, but it's not as in depth. the other two were, which also means it's not as annoying because that content's out of date. You obviously don't want to spend time fostering a weapon when that weapon's fucking useless. You're just doing it for the cosmetic value. But all the cosmetics are fantastic. They're so cool. I just haven't seen what the paladin one looks like. Well, it sucks to hear. I mean, it's like every other week. Your week's shit. It sucks to hear though. Still, hopefully the next one's not as bad. Do you work Monday?
No.
Oh, nice. I do. Unfortunately, I close. But I'll be down to do something when I get home. But you work Tuesday. Fuck it. I like closing because there's no one there, right? And for school it works out, and everything else it works out, but it sucks because it's hard to do things with other people. And we can't stream as often as we used to. Well, I'm glad that you can join me, Shawn. I'm glad everyone tuning in can join us tonight to hang out with us. We appreciate it. I hope you're all having a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. Let us know what you did this weekend. Had some family over. Ate some good old-fashioned burgers on the grill or potato salad, baked beans. I don't fucking know. That's what we had. I don't know what people usually eat Memorial Day. I just imagine it's like barbecue of some sort because that's what we always have. But it was good. It was good. And I'm glad to be hanging out. So we're going to move forward. We got some housekeeping real quick. As I said before, we stream on Twitch. You guys want to check that out, twitch.tv/ThoughtPatrol. Also, you can join our Discord. You want to hang out with the community, the hosts, talk, listen, engage in conversation, all of that description will have all the links that you need for all this content. You want to leave a comment if you're on YouTube chilling out about what we talked about this week, feel free to leave that there. Also, while you're there, feel free to subscribe, either on the respective podcast service you're listening on or on YouTube. Just so you can get us every week, Tuesday at 8 a.m. Feel free while you're doing that to join us over on Twitter as well at ThoughtPatrolPD for announcements. Also, same thing with Facebook, Thought Patrol Podcast. It's a Facebook page, as well as our sister page, The Streaming Geek, where you'll have reviews go up for pretty much any streamable content if you want to check that out. Right now, it's mostly Shawn's opinions because I haven't had the time to sit down and fully add to that discussion going on over there, but definitely all really well done, well put together stuff. You want to give him what you thought about either a show or how he's doing with that, definitely feel free to check all that out. Again, that is The Streaming Geek. Also, feel free, if you want to help us out here at the Thought Patrol Podcast, you can leave an iTunes review, help us kind of show up a little bit better in the algorithms of iTunes so we get more people tuning in, more ears on the show. Whatever number you think is good between a 1 and a 5, just be truthful with the feedback. We want to hear what we can do here on the show to improve the listening experience for everyone tuning in, so we can, again, just tune the show to your guys' likes and needs. So that's about it. Housekeeping out of the way. Mailbag. We got a few questions this week because we missed last week. So, first, this is a doozy, Shawn. We got Carlos coming in. It says, marry one, kill one, fuck one. Again, with the bringing it back. We have Endgame America's ass. Or America's ass, Captain America's ass, Thanos, or Iron Man. What you think?
I'm trying to wrap my head around the question. So we have to kill...
You have to kill one, marry, and fuck one.
Fuck. Thanos, Captain America,
and Iron Man.
Iron Man?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Captain America's got the delish booty, so we're gonna...
I got a better booty than Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so does Spider-Man. So I will marry Captain America to keep that booty on lock.
Gotcha.
I will... Oh, fuck, no, wait a minute, hold on, because, like, Iron Man's got the money, so am I one of those people that I'm thinking about the future, and, like,
or you're living in the moment,
the tech, the goodies, or am I going with my heart or my wallet? That's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm more physically driven than I am financially, I think. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the good guy route. I'm going to go with booty for life. I'm going to fuck Iron Man,
Okay,
you know, because he's basically a sex doll anyway,
gotcha.
and sex robot. And then I'll kill Thanos because he's gross, and
Okay.
Shawn doesn't do gross things.
I've always wanted to clap Thanos' cheeks, so I think I'd go that route. So we're gonna fuck Thanos, right? Cause and I think you can get some freaky shit because he's got the gauntlet, bro. So you don't even have to be looking at Thanos. Reality can be whatever you want, right? Or whatever he wants, I guess. But if you're mutually invested in your relationship, then you might help twist some things around. So you can turn Thanos into a fucking big booby anime lady. He has got the reality stone. If he's okay with it. If he
on the inside.
Yeah, but I mean, ass is ass, bro. Like, your dick doesn't know the difference. So you're good. If you see a big booby anime lady,
knows the difference.
No, you don't though, because it looks. If all stimulus is leading towards a big booby anime lady, then who can say you didn't fuck a big booby anime lady? The same thing can be said about VR, bro. If you're sticking your dick in two sponges in a cup, like with a fucking rubber glove holding it together, then I mean, as long as your brain is aware that, or as long as your senses are being stimulated towards it being a big booby anime lady, your brain just blocks out all the rest. Your brain does it on like a fucking day-to-day basis anyway, dude. All the non-important information, your brain just cancels out, so it just doesn't register. I'm sure your brain can do that with the thought that you're clapping a big great man's ass cheeks compared to a big booby anime lady. So I'd fuck Thanos because he's got all the power. And then I'd probably like steal the gauntlet from him and like fist him with it at the end, and then probably kill him. So that's the route that no one thought about, dude. Everyone's talking about Ant-Man expanding inside his butthole, bro. You just fist him with the Infinity Gauntlet and you're good to go. You snap inside of his rectum and he's gone. There's nothing he can do about it. He's dust before. So that's the ending we deserved. We didn't get it, but it's the one we deserved. For marry and kill, Iron Man's already on his way out, so kill him. And I'd marry. Oh, what does Steve Rogers have to benefit me outside of his ass, though? I'd marry Iron Man and kill fucking Captain America. Cause I got Thanos already, bro. Before I snap him, I might like steal a gauntlet, keep him in like a dungeon or some shit every once in a while, bust him out, clap some cheeks, and then lock him back away. And then no one ever hears of it again, and we're good to go. But I think that's what I'd go with. So I'd fuck Thanos. We would kill Captain America. We'd marry Iron Man for the money, and he could build like a super deep sex Thanos dungeon to keep him locked away that he can't break out of. And then we're good to go. Then we use the Infinity Gauntlet as a sex toy. I think that's a good.
Isn't the Infinity Gauntlet already a sex toy?
Yeah,
I mean,
guess.
like in real life, didn't somebody make an Infinity Gauntlet sex toy?
I'm sure. I would not doubt it, to be honest with you. I mean, we got Avengers dildos. I'm sure we have an Infinity Gauntlet sex toy. Let us know what you guys think. Would you clap Thanos cheeks? If you do and you support that way of living, let me know. Because I'd appreciate it. You know, if I'm the only man that is smart enough and brave enough to say that on the internet. But I appreciate the question, Carlos. We're going to move forward. You answered, right, Shawn? Yeah, you did. Okay.
I did.
Yeah, I just went on a fucking tangent. I just like to make sure that my reasoning is fully understood as to why I would go with the choice I made. I take these questions very seriously. So as long as that's out there, we're good to go. So Sam writes in, Detective Samichu is his Discord name because it changes every week. But he says, hey, nerds. Forgot to send you a question to you. I was busy partying up for my birthday weekend. Happy birthday, Sam. I think it actually was his birthday. He's becoming a fucking old fogey. I'm not going to say his actual age out of respect for himself. But becoming a fogey indeed. But what else was that? Didn't feel like wasting my time sending you geeks content. I don't appreciate that. I'm about to just not finish reading this question. But he's got a good one. So, didn't feel like wasting... where am I? Didn't feel like wasting my time sending you geeks content. Anyway, here goes the question. Mario Maker 2 is coming out soon, and the gaming world is abuzz. That is a fucking lie. I have not heard anyone talk about
Ross and Game Grumps went fucking batshit, dude. I watched his video. He was so excited.
I have not.
Kind of made me excited, and I never cared about Mario Maker.
I never did either, and I still don't. The only thing I cared about was seeing the Game Grumps play it and get mad. And that's about it.
That was kind of funny, but they played all the ridiculously hard levels.
Yeah, the Kaiju
Ross
stuff.
Is a badass at fucking ridiculous platformers. Like, it's the only game he's really good at, and if you give him like an insanely difficult platformer, that motherfucker turns into the Grandmaster. It's so weird.
Nice. I lost where I was. Oh, the sequel has a ton more assets and modes to enrich the player's experience. This got me thinking.
It also has a 3.5D.
Oh, that's cool as fuck. Oh, where am I? This got me thinking. Dreams is another tool/asset creation game in early access, but has a bigger slew of options when it comes to creating. So would you want to see more creation-based games, a la Little Big Planet, Dreams? Would this lead to studios finding new talent, and would this be another form of content creation that could supplement a creator's endeavors? Let me know what you think. If Shawn complains about my word count, he could go slip on a banana and land on his butt on a candlestick. Have a good week, nerds. That was, man, this nerd guy's rude. I don't appreciate it. I think creation games have their own little niche that they've already found, and I don't necessarily want to see them move into other realms. Like, I'm fine with them having their niche. I'm fine with people liking them and making content with them, but I don't really care to see them spread. You're pretty much just releasing a game engine for people to use. Like, that's all it is. You're paying to have access to a game engine that's just made for layman's, pretty much. And as fine as that is, because people make some crazy shit. I've seen so many crazy things come out of Dreams, and it's cool to see the community grow out of just the stuff that's possible to do in their games. A la Little Big Planet, what we've seen out of Dreams and stuff like that. Mario Maker. I'm fine with them being here and existing. I just don't really care to see them spread into any other areas. I think they're a cool little niche. I would never sit down and try and create content through them. Just not my thing. But I love seeing creativity kind of what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Like strive, I guess. Just see it kind of spread out, see what people can do, how they can take this engine to its limits. Ooh, excuse me. How they can take this engine to its limits, figure out what they can and can't do. It's cool seeing what can come out of these titles. And Dreams, I think, is probably the furthest we've seen go in that realm without it just straight up being called a fucking video game engine. It's practically Unreal, but it doesn't look like Unreal assets, and then you have access to everything off the gate. But in regards to finding talent, I think it'd be a cool way to say, like, you make a really cool level. But again, it's so dumbed down compared to industry standard tools. Like, what would you do?
It has to be.
Well, but you wouldn't pull a kid that made a really cool game in Dreams off the streets and just hire him in your company, though. I mean, maybe
Why wouldn't you?
Because then, I mean, I don't know. You got to train the fucker.
It doesn't make it. Yeah, I mean, they got to be trained. But if you see somebody's got what it takes to make incredible levels with a simple set of tools, then if you give them a college scholarship and say, hey, we're waiting for you to come back, and they run off and get trained and whatnot, come back, you get a good employee that you already know they've got an incredible set of brain yums for making interesting game stuffs.
But if
it just doesn't make it makes perfect sense to do that. As a matter of fact, some of the company that made Little Big Planets, some of their employees were originally found by making some of their more award-winning levels. So I imagine it's not a bad idea at all to use that as a little bit of a scouting tool. Look up the people, because you have to be registered to post levels so you can send somebody a message.
I don't know. I think there's just so much. Yeah, I guess the mindset I was going across is just like, interning them right off the bat. But I guess if you did scout them to send them to school, but I don't see that more of a scouting tool. I see as like a fucking award scholarship or something. Like
it's still recruiting. I mean, you're sending them to school with the betting on what they can do when they learn the tools.
The intention,
or else you apprentice them and teach them the tools.
But they hopefully don't do something stupid and fucking die or something along those lines. I get that. I see that side. What else was here? Question wise. Yeah, the games are alright. I don't have any major interest in them besides seeing the creativity flourish from the community.
I've seen some pretty fun ass shit from the creator games. I just don't have any interest in them either.
Yeah. So we appreciate the questions, Sam. Is there anything you'd like to add, Shawn, before we move forward?
No, I mean I've seen. We had a ridiculous amount of fun playing the Little Big Planet multiplayer, especially the one with the fucking plane and the shark. I think it was a shark.
Oh, that big ass boat. Yeah, and there's like a shark ripping it apart from. I wish that game was not as fucking awfully optimized as it was, though. So
yeah, the controls in Little Big Planet are garbage. They're really, really bad.
It also ran like dog shit. Like it was super laggy because there was so much going on. So it made the overall experience a little bit worse, but it was still fun. I agree.
And I've played some fun Mario levels, and some of the best indie horror games for a while there were RPG Maker. I mean, fuck, one of the best all-time indie horror franchises, Corpse Party, JRPG and indie horror franchises, whatever, came from RPG Maker.
Yeah, RPG Maker is more of a straight-up game engine than I'd say Dreams would be, though.
I don't know anything about Dreams. I just remember hearing it mentioned like a long time ago.
Well, we appreciate the question, Sam. Question for you all tuning in. But if you could, with untapped potential, make something in Dreams, what would you go for? Be horror, FPS, platformer, something along those lines. Let us know. And to follow up that question, he has a kill, fuck, marry as well. Let's kill, marry, bang. So we have mine from the Shield Hero, the mom from Hanebado, and Toga from My Hero. That's fucking Toga? The crazy bitch.
Blood chick?
Yeah, the blood chick. That's actually really, really fucking hard.
Mom, from Hanebado.
Yeah, the one that abandoned her daughter. We have mine, the one that falsely accused, basically Me Too in anime.
Out of the three, mine would be the one that would be likely to try and murder me.
I think Toga would be likely to murder you as well.
Oh wait, no, Toga's guaranteed. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I'm killing Toga, and I'm fucking mine, and I'm marrying Hanebado.
See, I don't even like the look of mine. I don't think she's like particularly pretty looking. I think she looks just
well, you wouldn't want to marry the pretty one. You'd want to fuck I mean, mine's got a nice body, so I'd fuck her and then get the fuck out of there before she could kill me. I mean, worst case scenario, she steals my wallet. You know,
gets it all the way out.
Fucking Toga's dead all the way because that bitch will guaranteed murder you at the earliest possible opportunity.
But she's totally, but like it really comes down to how they feel about you, right? Like if it's a Toga Deku,
but we don't know how they're gonna feel about us, so we have to go off of what we do know.
But if it's a Toga Deku thing, right? But like
I'm not Deku.
I know, but like you wouldn't if we were going off how we would, you wouldn't be able to fuck mine either, though. So we're going off the intention that they'd be willing to at least fuck, marry, or that idea. So they have to be somewhat invested in us.
So, I mean,
so you're saying you'd rape mine? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm done. I am out of this game. As of that,
is that what you're telling me?
I am out of this game. Sam, this is your fault. I know you had an innocent idea, but Kyle just took it and fucking...
I'm trying to evaluate what's going on here, dude.
Maximum ability.
We're going off...
This is not assuming they will do it. This is assuming we decide something and it goes that way. Period. That's all it is. Like, what would you do if the decision was yours? And what I would do, based off of the fact that even Deku, she will eventually kill him. I have no doubt she is a psychopath. She will kill Deku too if Deku decided to date that mangy ass. So again,
She's not
Toga
mangy.
dead,
How dare you?
Hanebado I would marry, and I would fuck mine, but mine would eventually try and kill me because she's a megalomaniac.
Okay, just with the mom for Hanebado, don't have a kid and you'll be fine.
No, I can have a kid. Then she'll leave, and it'll
yeah,
just be
you're
the
right.
two of us.
You're right.
I'm already used to that, so
Fuck.
I'm good with that. Like, hoes can leave. I don't care. Go for it.
I think I'll still marry the mom for Hanebado because she's like the only one that's not straight like psycho. I mean, to a degree she's psychopathic, but not to the degree these other two are. And then I would just swap mine and Toga. I'd fuck Toga and not let her kill me, and then I'd kill mine just because I think she's detestable.
You think you can stop Toga from killing you with your no superpowers?
You think you could stop mine from killing you with her fucking kingdom?
Yeah, because she doesn't immediately decide. She doesn't like. It takes time for her to just decide to kill someone. Like she escalates.
Nah, dude. If I have the power to actually stick my dick in her vagina, I have the power to get away from her. If we're assuming that it's non-consensual, I don't think she'd even let me fucking get close to her. But if I had the power to get my
it's non-consensual, you were the one that brought in non-consensual. That was not a part of the discussion. I am.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're saying it's a choice that you would make, and then that they would have no say in. So that's
not what I said.
Yes, you did.
If the
decision was yours and yours alone, yeah,
and it's consensual.
You never said consensual. You never said consensual. That's just what I'm saying.
I said if it goes the way you want it
not.
To. That doesn't mean
that's
you're
not
forcing
consensual.
Your dick into someone's rectum.
The way
you're inserting words into mouths.
The
like
way
you were assuming I would be inserting my cock into orifices.
The way
you're raping my sentiments.
The way
Me too. Hashtag me too.
Listen, shut the fuck up.
Women's rights.
The way you want it to and consensual are not the same. Okay, I'm just saying. So if I
get an air horn and blast it every time you go to talk.
Well, either way though, if I had either the power to get my dick inside of Toga or the consent from Toga to put my penis inside of her, then I still think I'd be able to get away in time for her to not rip me to shreds. So, if there was enough time to put my dick in her when she's clothed, well, you know what I'm saying, like to the point where dick in vagina would happen. That's all I'm saying. So that's what I would go. Marry mom from Hanebado, fuck mine, she can die. That's what I meant. And then fuck Toga, I could actually fuck her. And hopefully she's into anal. Let's move on.
It's too bad that I can't like get mine and Toga into each other, and then they would just kill each other, and I just watch them fuck.
That'd work. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for. Let us know what you guys would do. I don't fucking know at this point. Let's move forward. Carlos sends us in another question. So basically, PlayStation Productions was recently announced, and it's a TV production show that would be based on like game IPs, and he says, what are some movies or TV shows you want to see from PlayStation Productions? I was thinking a Sly Cooper cartoon would be pretty neat. What are PlayStation IPs?
That's not a bad idea.
It is like not like a Saturday morning cartoon.
That used to own
like Pink Panther, but
Jack and Daxter and Sly and Spyro. They used to own all of them before they got parceled off.
I don't know.
Oh god, I fucking get right on the tip of my tongue. You could have like an hour where it just splits up the hour, 20 minutes a pop. You could have a Sly episode, a fucking Jack and Daxter episode, and a Spyro episode. That'd be tight.
They'd all have to stay. Well, Spyro might be able to make it 3D, but they'd all have to stay like a cartoony kind of thing.
No, I do like a CG thing. Do like what they did with How to Train Your Dragon. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
I'd rather for Sly see cartoon. I don't know. I just feel like Sly has that style that would work well in like 2D animation.
If you did that, you'd have to do it comic book style with like super thick lines and shit, because the cutscenes in Sly were done that way.
Yeah, something along those lines. And then Jack and Daxter could be 3D. Yeah. I'm looking at what kind of games that they have kind of the rights to do something like this with, if these are all upstanding. Crash Bandicoot would be a cool cartoon. Although I don't know what the fuck they do with that. story-wise. Oh, Parappa the Rappa, a cartoon. Fuck yes, bro. Give me that. I'm cheating, obviously. Tekken. That'd be cool if they made like
Tekken's adult. That
yeah.
would be like that's already an anime though. Let's skip the stuff that's already a show.
All right, I'm going through some here.
It was a garbage one, but it was already one.
Let's see what else they have. Ghost in the Shell. That's not theirs. I don't know how much I trust this list now. Well, they do not have a lot. They go to like current because this is like all the retail over the years.
You could do like an hour-long Parappa Rapper Unjammer Lammy kind of thing.
That'd be cool as fuck.
Where you'd have half because Unjammer Lammy was a spin-off. She was a character from Parappa the Rapper. He made a appearance in her game, but hers was like guitar-based or something.
Let's see. Sony first party titles, I guess. I don't know. Like I don't know what they'd be able to.
I would love to see Alundra turned into an anime, but that's not a Sony property.
This sucks because all these are doo-doo, like these lists. Not really helping me here. We got a few in there though. Now, outside of that, what video game do you think would be a good translation into like a TV or movie show? Something we'd like to see on TV. Fuck, I don't know. It's kind of hard because there's not a good track record with these things. Let's stick within cartoons, I guess, so we can kind of narrow it down since that was what the original question was asking. A good PlayStation or a good IP that would make a good cartoon. What are you thinking? I'd like to see. It'd be cool maybe to see like a fuck, what is it? Why I'm losing my mind. I don't know what it was called. I lost it. It's gone. We're not doing this question any justice. Ooh.
I already gave 2 ideas.
Sonic the Hedgehog, I guess. I don't know.
No, that was already a cartoon. The anime was okay, but the American version was garbage.
Thinking, fuck, let's do this.
Gex would make a decent
Oh, that'd be
one.
pretty cool, yeah. Let's see, iconic video game. Fuck Glover mascots. That game was weird as
Glover's
shit.
your thing, man.
That game was weird as fuck, though, dude. Let's see, iconic video game mascots.
Have to keep rolling a ball throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, it's just the game was weird. It was very surreal. So it'd be Rayman, a Rayman cartoon. That'd be cool as fuck.
That would be cool.
A Bomberman cartoon I could totally see.
Bomberman never really had much of a story.
Yeah, no.
You'd have to completely write one.
Talk about cartoon though. Doesn't need to.
Ratchet and Clank. They had a movie already.
Yeah. A Pac-Man cartoon, maybe.
They had one in the 80s.
I would love like a fucking Conquer cartoon. Something that would be awesome. Late at night, yeah. Cartoon.
They could do like a Game of Thrones style God of War.
Yeah, or like
Game of Thrones style, not slow like that, but
or like a Speed Racer-esque like F-Zero show. That'd be fucking cool.
As long as it doesn't know that fucking song. Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go!
I know they're working on it, but a Legend of Zelda cartoon might be pretty cool.
I still think God, I hope it's I really don't think Americans should make that one. I think that should be anime, but whatever.
It's not gonna happen. Netflix has it, so we're fucked. I mean, they did really, Castlevania, so
sucks. Yeah, but even the Castlevania, you could tell it was inspired by anime, but it was missing a certain level of skill. There was a certain something missing that should have been there. Like it
Castlevania.
Didn't follow the story. Yeah, well, I know Castlevania inside and out, and it didn't follow the story as closely as I would have liked. They made some changes that they're gonna have to pay for down the line, and I don't like that. I don't like some of the things they stripped out for no reason. They ran through certain story parts, but then took too long through others. They completely nixed a couple of characters. They invented a bunch of characters, but they did tie in some stuff. Like, it was overall, it was decent. It was better than I thought it would be, but it wasn't as good as it could have been because for some fucking reason, Konami refused to license it out and have it made as an anime. And then when they finally fucking caved and let someone do it, it was only because Netflix had the billions to fucking shove in their greedy little assholes.
Yeah. But I'd be down for some of those.
But it was the best video game adaptation that I've seen America produce thus far.
Give me, I know we already had one, but give me a modern Mega Man Battle Network cartoon, bro. I'd be all fucking over that, dude. Because I remember they used to have one. It didn't go on for very long. I don't even know if it actually was like something that was made into a show. It had just been like a OVA or something. But it was like them just going around doing their shit and things come up. And I love the idea of seeing them in the world and them jacking into shit, right, bro? Just plug your shit into the telephone pole, bro, and then send Mega Man in and he could eliminate the viruses. But they even released a little fucking toy that you can have that will plug into USBs that anyone you can find, and it would like, I don't know, transfer a Trojan or some shit, but it would actually like, you can like fake send Mega Man in and have him fight viruses, quote unquote, within the thing you plug the shit in. But it was just like a fucking USB cable, never fucking did anything, and you could just like transfer Mega Man into the stuff, and I fucking loved it, bro. Every time I went somewhere, I was on the lookout for USBs, and I'm telling you, man, they thought I was a little Chinese spy dropping Trojans in infrastructures, but I was just playing Mega Man, trying to fucking level up my dude. And they even had like a little RPG system. The cards were available. It was fucking awesome. I'd love a show like that. I'd watch the fuck out of that, I say. We know we all want, Shawn, though. A Bubsy cartoon.
I know, never.
All right. Well, we appreciate the question, Carlos. Do you have any others you'd like to add, Shawn, before we move on?
Did I already say an Alundra cartoon?
I think so. Oh my goodness, I'm yawning. Oh, all right. If that is it, then we shall move on to the box office top. Let's go over the movies. What movies are doing well in theaters right now? At number 1, we have Aladdin, pulling $207 million worldwide in its first weekend. Already past its budget, so it will be, I don't know, it looks bad, but I don't know. Number 2, we have John Wick 3 Parabellum, which I've heard is fantastic, like one of the better John Wick movies, sitting at $175 million worldwide. At number 3, we have Avengers Endgame, pulling $60 million for the week, sitting at a total of, Shawn, what do you think this movie's at right now, total, worldwide?
John Wick?
Avengers Endgame.
20 billion.
Close. It's 2.6 billion, almost 2.7 billion. So its opening weekend was 357 million. Just crazy. And it is, I don't know what rank it is. It's at number 2 for 3D. All-time domestic still at number 2, and I think Avatar is in front of it. All-time worldwide is number 2 as well. I think Avatar is still in front of it, just barely. I don't know, how the fuck did Avatar make so much money? Like, I don't understand, because that movie was not that good. It was just really pretty. Like, was the marketing for it on point or some shit like that? I don't understand how that movie made so much goddamn money. It was not that fucking good of a film. Like,
what movie are we talking about?
Avatar. The 3D one with the blue aliens.
I liked it a lot.
I thought
I
it
liked
was
it a whole lot.
I thought it was just okay. I remember it being pretty.
No, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story and the characters. I thought it was oodles of fun, and I loved it when it came out. I don't know how I'd feel about it watching it now, but I saw it in theaters and had nothing but love for it.
I don't know. I just remember it being pretty, but I thought that everything else was just. I mean, everything in itself is a rehash of something else, but Avatar is just kind of like the typical, almost like Pocahontas kind of thing going on there. Where was I? Number 4, we got Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Now, I'm going to set something straight real quick, dude. I've been hearing people talk shit about Detective Pikachu because it doesn't feel enough like a Pokemon movie. Now, I'm just going to remind you all, right? Even though it has the name Pokemon on it, it is not based off of the games. It's based off of the sub-series, the Detective Pikachu games, as it says in the fucking title. So, of course, there won't be huge trainer and Pokemon battles and people catching shit. It's not the anime. It's not the TV show. It's Detective fucking Pikachu. Is their own little series of games that had nothing to do. I mean, they're set in the areas, but they didn't go into Pokemon battles and all that other shit.
Didn't it involve like people who weren't trainers? Because like normal people could have Pokemon.
Yeah, for the most part, it doesn't.
In the Pokemon universe, each have one Pokemon apiece. It's only Pokemon trainers that go hardcore on the Pokemon collecting.
Well, I've heard people talk that it wasn't enough like a Pokemon movie, and that's because it's not based off the fucking game. So if you're going to expect to see Ash on screen catching fucking Pokemon and on his little adventure, that's not what this movie's about. I understand, and the thing is the marketing for it never led to anything like that for someone to make that. Like to surmise that from seeing the marketing. I mean, it showed off Pokemon, yes. There's Pokemon in the movie. It's not like they showed off Mewtwo and never showed off Mewtwo. They're still in the movie, but they never said anything about trainers so it's like one of those things where people's expectations kind of go crazy, and then because they went in with expectations that were too high that they built on their own understanding, that the movie suffers because it's not what they thought it would be, kind of thing. Which is, I would say, more of the fault of the viewer than the people creating the content. But I just find that baffling that these people are like, well, man, it's not a Pokemon movie. I'm like, of course it's not. It's the Detective Pikachu movie. They don't have anything to do with the games. What the fuck were you expecting? To see Ash the moment you walked into the theater? It just blows my mind. It makes no sense. But that movie's at number 4. It's pulled $352 million worldwide, so it's definitely... succeeded. It's doubled its money, so kudos to that. At number 5, we have Brightburn coming in 5th place, pulling $7 million for the weekend. So it got a total of $15 million worldwide, and it just came out this week. It only took $6 million to make. I heard it was okay. I'm gonna go see it tomorrow, and I will relay.
I heard it was. It wasn't what it needed to be, but it was all right for what it was.
Yeah, I heard that the gore was well done. That's about it.
Yeah, the kills were really good, but the movie itself was kind of, it didn't do enough to be its own thing.
Yeah,
or something like that, and which is unfortunate.
All right, that's the film news. We're gonna move on into our news, which actually is more film news because nothing much has happened video game wise. At least from what I remember. Oh, fuck.
There's a lot of JRPGs that they've been talking about coming out, but none of them have received release dates yet.
Yeah, I know that we're getting closer to the fighting game for Grand Blue by Arc System. That looks pretty dope.
The RPG still doesn't have a release yet. And
I care more about the RPG.
There's like 15 or 20 JRPGs that are coming out, and we're talking like new blood, what's the word I'm looking for? Ones that are bringing back the feel of the of real legit hardcore JRPGs, but they're doing some new things with them, which I'm kind of excited to see.
I know that.
So I mean, they're not all. Some of them are going to be turn-based, some are not.
I know that I know that Epic Games, they had a huge sale recently on their store. Problem was, they didn't fucking tell any of the devs about it. So they offered this huge deal. Basically, Shawn, if you spend $15 or more, You get
Oh yeah, no, that's old news. Yeah, I know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah, you get $10 off. Basically, a bunch of devs pulled out because they're like, I mean, for the most part, Epic was taking the fall on their side. There's burning money to kind of get people into their storefront. But the thing is that there's kind of like an unseen factor at play where when a game is in for sale for pre-order and you can get it for $45, the moment the sale ends and the game skyrocket or jumps up to 60, there's a perceived price hike by the consumers, and it makes people more I guess weary about purchasing the product kind of thing. Because, like, why was it $45? Is there something wrong with it? Is this an indie game?
Making the image of the game,
Yeah,
like damaging the
yeah. So that's kind of like an unforeseen thing. So a bunch of developers were pulling out of the sale. They didn't want to have anything to do with it. They'd rather their game just stay how it is. Now, to be fair on Epic's side, they did do a pretty decent job of making people understand, like, hey, like, it's like you spend money and then you save some, and it's like on Epic's like taking the fall, but like it wasn't like on every purchase kind of thing. So they didn't go out of their way to make sure you understood fully what the sale was about unless you were like attached to their news feed kind of thing. But that did happen a while back. There's kind of this pay to win thing going on with the new Mario Kart mobile game. Apparently, it's pretty egregious with its microtransactions. It does like a gacha-based system. If you don't know what gacha is, it's they're basically loot boxes, but instead of getting like pieces of gear, you're getting characters. So you'll have a % chance to get a character, and that character can be really strong, or have a different role. And usually they go up in rarity from like 1 to 5 stars. And Nintendo's adapted that into their Mario Kart Tour mobile game. People see it as egregious. I mean, it's really fucking shitty, but people are acting like mobile games and their monetization methods aren't shitty or haven't been shitty for a long fucking time. But I guess people thought Nintendo might have been above that, especially since they've been pretty...
I don't know what gave them that idea.
I don't know, but
I mean, granted, Nintendo has been pretty good about not nickel and diming people most of the time. But it's a mobile title. I mean,
it's what they do. I mean, it's just how they are.
Title.
Yeah.
Like it's people thought they were gonna, because they released the Mario Run as a pay to play. You know, you buy it.
Yeah.
You know, which is what the mobile game should be, and nobody bought it. But then again, it was a good runner. It was a really good runner. It was creative runner, but it was still a fucking runner game. Nobody cares. The runner games are very niche, and for what they are, they can be fun. I played 8-Bit Runner, and I had fun with that one. The whole 8-Bit series was pretty good, but those are console games and computer games.
The only one that I've actively participated in was Dragalia Lost, which is a Nintendo one. I just hated the way the game controls, but it's like a dungeon crawler, but it's a gacha based one too. You have like a 1 to 5 star, and you have like a 0.001% chance of pulling a 5 star, and then you can upgrade and stuff like that. And that's how they get you. You spend up some money, you have a chance of getting a really high level character. They're technically modified loot boxes. That's just how they are, and it's how it's always been. They've gotten better because now they're required by law to tell you what percentage resides within the pools and stuff and the summons. So now you get a better idea of exactly what your chances are before you go dropping $100 on a mobile game. But they're still, to a degree, the way they are designed from get-go, they are manipulative in the sense of how they are. Like, something really shiny for a 1% chance. Oh, hey, we're having an event. That percent chance went up. You can spend $100 and maybe get it, kind of thing. So that's just how those type of games are. What else? We had GOG, good old games. They had basically announced a new launcher that is coming out. that will be kind of like a launcher consolidator. So it takes all these different launchers and throws them all together, and it will basically connect them across the board. And then on top of that, you can even share your friends lists amongst all the launchers as well. So it'd be like the launcher to end all launchers kind of thing, where it just kind of puts everything in one basket, and you don't have to worry about having a shitload of launchers, and it has all your libraries consolidated and all of that. It looks really clean and all that shit. And that looks nice. I mean, it is what it is. I don't have as much of a problem with having multiple launchers as I do. My biggest thing with like the problem with Epic kind of thing is the whole exclusivity bullshit that they pull. And then on top of that, a THQ actually recently did a report, and someone had come up to the, I don't know if it was CEO or the just the dude leading the report, and they asked him like, oh, how did the sales for Metro do? And they had come out and said, oh, hey, they did okay. The digital sales surpassed expectations or shit like that. But it basically came out to saying that Metro did not do as well as they had fully anticipated to do, especially with how big the consumer base had grown for the game over time and stuff. It far surpassed on console than it did on PC sales. I wonder why. When you force everyone to only buy on one platform, that's everyone's kind of dodgy about right off the bat, and it's just a whole big problem.
I think it would have been fine if it had been announced. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that exclusivity is usually not a great thing, but I think they would have been fine if it wasn't last minute. It was the last minute thing that really rubbed everyone wrong.
That fucked up for a lot of people. But the thing as well is like it's third party. Besides throwing them a bunch of money just to host it on their platform, Epic did nothing in the creation of this game to fund it in making it. I can understand, like, for Sony, a lot of the time for their first-party exclusives, they do a lot in the creation of that game to fund it and see it get to the light of day. So obviously, they'd want it to be only on their platform to work that way. But you do not see Sony throwing a fuckload of money at, well, they've done to a degree. It hasn't gone full blown, but you don't see Sony throwing a fuckload of money at Call of Duty so they could only release Call of Duty on their console. Like, what if the new Call of Duty comes out and it only launches on Xbox because Xbox is doing a bunch of money? You're gonna piss off a fuckload of people because Call of Duty, for one, has always been pretty much across the board everywhere. But on top of that, Xbox, besides throwing a shitload of money at them, did nothing in the creation of making Call of Duty. It's not like Halo, where they fund the companies behind it. That's what this is to a degree. This isn't a first-party title. Epic did nothing to help create this game. They just gave them money. They're like, hey, have it on our store. Now you can say, obviously, because it's a console, there's a bit of a bigger discrepancy because now you have to go out and buy a whole new system if you want to be able to play the game, where for this one, it's just downloading a program, which I 100% agree. That's okay. It's just the idea. It's shitty in practice, and it shouldn't be allowed kind of thing. So it's silly, and they're seeing, to a degree, it seems like the sales have suffered, obviously, because there is a negative community consensus when it comes to the Epic Games Store. They're getting better. They still don't have a fucking shopping cart. Like, how the fuck do you have a store and not have a shopping cart? Imagine you went to Walmart and had to go buy groceries for the week, but you only could take one from the back and bring it up to the front and buy it one at a time. It's fucking stupid. It makes no sense. It's so dumb. And it's just this.
How do you have, it's not hard. I've done it before. I have built e-commerce software. I did it for a catalog company that I worked for. And it doesn't take a genius to know that when you're designing software or using software that you have to have a good suite, user-friendly e-commerce suite for selling shit online. Like, there are some things that I don't understand how, being a company that's been around for so long, they could have fucked up. Like, granted, they may not have been doing directly in retail. That's fine. You have no experience in retail. But you hire consultants.
Yeah, you find someone that will help you.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you hire consultants, and there's no one that has any experience in e-commerce whatsoever would sit there and tell you that it is a good idea to not allow somebody to build up a shopping cart.
You know what? We're going to make it even harder for them to give their money to us. So they have to enter in a 6-digit code that we mail to them that takes 2 to 3 weeks before they can buy their game. Perfect. Implement it tomorrow. We're good to go. Make it even harder for them to spend money. Just make it as hard as possible for them to give us their money. And you know what was even worse that was happening? When this sale was going on, Shawn, this $15 off sale, people were getting banned because they were making too many individual too many individual transactions. So Epic was freaking out, thinking people were getting their accounts hacked because they were buying all these things because they couldn't buy them all at once because there wasn't a shopping cart. Just a clusterfuck of a sale. And it's mostly because it's just their system is not well built. And again, for someone that wants to take a step into the market, you don't do it half-assed. If you want to get a foothold in a market that's being, to a degree, dominated by another company that has the features, that has all this shit, you can't just offer a better deal that, to a degree, does help overall the industry, having them get more money for per sale and all that other stuff. It's good. It's nice. But like, you can't come with just that as your weaponry. You got to make sure you have a stable platform to actually handle what every other competitor does properly, because then you're not going to pull everyone. Everyone's going to stick with what they're comfortable with because it doesn't suck fat fucking dick kind of thing. But it's just crazy that, and it's been this long and they still don't have things like this. Like, you'd think they'd put a little bit of effort forward to make sure that their storefront is working instead of buying out every company in the vicinity to force them to have to be fucking handled through they're distributed through their storefront. It just doesn't make any sense to me. They're just trying too hard and they're not. It's all half-assed steps that they're trying to take forward. But let us know what you guys think about that. We have 2 more things real quick. We got a release date for the Akira live action film. So that's finally fucking coming. Hopefully it doesn't suck ass.
To make that since what, 2003?
Yeah, it's been a long fucking time.
Fucking Evangelion even longer.
So it's been in
and Evangelion. I will go on record as saying that is not the kind of story that should be remade, retold. It will not. It is. If you made it into a series, you might be able to tell it, but the point behind Evangelion doesn't exist anymore. The whole thing was this huge criticism on escapism, a problem that they were having in Japan at the time, and people completely missed the point. There's a whole fucking documentary on it that was really interesting that I watched that explained what the actual metaphors were in Evangelion that everyone just completely missed and thought it was something else.
Like, bro, robots.
Yeah,
so cool.
and like sex jokes. Yeah, it's so funny. Masturbate on a comatose. No, all of that was a metaphor. Everything that was happening was metaphoric. It wasn't even about the angels. It had nothing to do with the angels or the robot combat. Like, none of that was anything. It was all about the characters, and specifically Shinji being a stand-in for the Japanese youth of the time. So you would have to either strip the metaphors completely out of it and tell a completely unrelated story, like actually make it about the angels and whatnot, which destroys the point of the story in the first place. It would be worse than what they did to Ghost in the Shell, where they make a slick action film and lose all the meaning. This would be worse than that. So I think that the Evangelion film should never come. And when I didn't understand it, and I thought it was like fighting against angels because the angels are trying to wipe out humanity, and humanity is fighting and all that shit, and the rest of it was just confusing nonsense. Before I started to understand things, like, it would have been different. You could have pulled the movie off, but now I don't think Evangelion should be a movie. I think that you would be disrespecting the original property by doing that. But with what the fuck was the other property we were just talking about? With Akira. You could do it.
Yeah, no, Akira is much more, or much less metaphoric in its presentation.
No, it's still super ridiculously deep, but that's something that would be easy enough to translate. As a matter of fact, they need to follow the book. They need to, because the animated film ended up combining, like super condensing 3 story arcs into one film, and you lost a massive amount. And so it takes a lot of watching of Akira to catch all the nuance because of that.
You know what? It's not going to fucking happen. I can tell you that right now.
If they were to make a trilogy or like a 2 movies or a series and actually closely follow the book, you'd have a much better. It would end up being better than the anime because you'd have a story that's a lot more cohesive.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be huge missing chunks.
All right. So, like I was saying, it finally does in fact have a release date. It is been in development for a while, and it's being directed by Thor Ragnarok's Taika Waititi. Waititi? I don't know. But it's being done by the director behind Thor Ragnarok, and then the audience either simultaneously groans or applauds. Probably heard a few more groans in there than applauds. Thor Ragnarok was what?
I'm worried.
The second one, right?
Ragnarok
no, third
was a
one.
joke.
The third one, yeah.
It was the third one.
Okay. According to Hollywood Reporter, Warner did confirm that the movie will hit theaters May 21st, 2021. A little bit closer to that, so it's about 2 years out, because we're, in May? Blah, blah, blah. The film will be shot entirely in California, and will be produced by Leonardo DiCaprio through his Appian Way production company. Apparently the John Wick Chapter 4 movie is also currently set to release on that day as well. There's been no casting news whatsoever, but Waititi has been involved with the project since 2017. And last year in April, he spoke about his intentions for, quote, "What I want to do is an adaptation of the books." There you go, Shawn. He said, a lot of people are like, don't touch that film. And I'm like, I'm not remaking the film. I want to go back to the book. There are 6 gigantic books to go through. It's so rich. Waititi is the latest in the long line of filmmakers to be linked to the Akira remake. So there you go, Shawn. We might have some fucking faith yet. But thanks to Dan Audi from GameSpot.
Waititi's good with comedy. His comedies are brilliant. They're really, really good. But I do not like. Don't get me wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed Thor Ragnarok as a goof-tard buddy flick, but it was not a good Marvel movie, and it was not a good Thor movie. And that does not give me a lot of faith that Waititi understands staying true to content.
Yeah, I got you.
There's nothing in anything he's done that tells me that he's good at doing anything besides really well-written, intelligent comedies.
He might be a bigger Akira fan than Marvel fan. He's like,
Well, no, I saw a movie he did called What We Did in the Shadows, which was fucking hilarious, and it's about 3 vampire roommates in New Zealand. Because Waititi's he's Kiwi.
Okay.
And it's fucking hilarious. It goes on for like 20 minutes too long. But everything that happens in it is funny. It's not a concept that carries into the length that he did. I mean, you could have chopped that thing up and just made a series out of it and it would have been fine. Because it plays very much like a sitcom. It's a documentary filmmaker who's shooting a documentary on these 3 vampire roommates, and they go out and they're all like, there's the one guy who's the young rebel because he's only like 800 years old. Like, so it's just, they're so out of touch, and then they get into fights with werewolves and piss off the witches. It's just goofy gonzo silliness, but it was really, really cute, and it was really funny. And he's got the ability to do that, and that's why his jokes work so well in Thor Ragnarok, because again, he's got buddies doing silly shit.
Yeah,
he's good at that. That's his jam.
That is not Akira.
Putting him in Akira is sticking him so far outside of his wheelhouse that doesn't mean he can't do it. But if I was going to yank somebody out of their wheelhouse to do something else, I would yank Peel to do Akira. If I was to pull, because he's been doing horror, but he's really good at doing shit that has ideas behind ideas, wrapped in metaphors behind ideas. Like, he can do that.
Yeah.
And you need that for something like Akira or Ghost in the Shell, that kind of shit. You need a guy who's used to working with like heavily metaphorical things or things that are making very thick, dense statements. And you need to not be afraid to do that in a cyberpunk movie. It's one of the reasons why things like Blade Runner and the Blade Runner sequel and the other high-budget cyberpunk movies that were intelligent, none of them did well because audiences don't like to think. I mean, they're a higher quality film, they're a better experience, they're a more wonderful story, and they're better to watch, and they're better in general, but audiences are fucking stupid. So I don't know what the fuck is going to happen to that. I'm very concerned. Did you know that DiCaprio was originally slated to play Akira?
I thought
he was much younger, back when it first started. They first started talking about it. They wanted him to do it.
I thought it was Keanu Reeves.
No, Keanu even then was too old to play Akira.
I thought, but didn't they have Keanu for a lead role somewhere?
Not Akira, Kaneda, sorry.
I thought they had Keanu for some
Kaneda.
kind of lead role. Something there somewhere. I don't know though.
They've had him. They wanted him to do a bunch of stuff. Like they wanted him for Strange, for instance. And I think he would have been a perfect Doctor Strange, but he's better than Marvel movies. He deserves better.
All right. So, those guys know what you think about Akira. If you're excited, not excited, a fan of the books or a fan of the movie, and what you think about moving forward. Thing is again, we don't have a good track record with these things. So obviously it makes sense to be a little pessimistic on the announcement of more information coming from these things. So another thing, Shawn, believe it or not, the design in the Sonic movie was a little bad.
Yeah, and they decided to remake it.
So
like
we're
fucking 3 days after the internet fixed it.
So
which makes me think that it was a marketing ploy in the first place.
So the film's been delayed while they redesign Sonic, which is possible. Most of it's CG. Thing is my thing with this film is from what we saw in the trailer. There's a lot more problems than just the way Sonic looked. And
it's
I think
set on Earth.
And we've talked about this already, pretty much ad nauseum. So I'm just going to go over it for a little bit before we move on to
the future Earth.
The Shadowbringers letter from the producers. So they basically came out and announced Jeff Fowler, who is the director, said they're going to take a little bit more time to make the movie just right, and that they gave us a date, which is February 14th, 2020. Might see what he looks like. One cool thing is that in the picture, it shows us presumably Sonic holding up the sign, and he's got a glove on. So hopefully we'll see more of a throwback to the original designs, because they are perfect and not human and disgusting with lots of teeth. And there was a lot of criticism about it online. Another thing, and I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but the people that were complaining about this, I don't think they had any intention to go see this movie in the first place. Obviously, because it looks like shit outside of every other thing. And I've heard so many people going now, it's like, bro, if you went out and you physically said something online about this film, you almost have a fucking debt to these people to go and see this movie now in theaters, because they're busting their ass for the next 8 months or however, that's close enough, until they show off this rework and what's going to be going on with the film. And as Shawn said, and he said before, thinking that this whole thing just be kind of a ploy to get people talking about the film. Although I think a Sonic movie in its right would get enough stuff brewing, but I definitely agree that a shitty Sonic movie will get more people brewing. But yeah, so they're gonna fix it. Hopefully it doesn't look awful, but again, like we said before, and we talked about this a few episodes back, there's a lot more problematic to this film than just Sonic's design. It does not look like a good movie. So hopefully maybe there'll be some more reshooting than just redesigning Sonic, and maybe they'll work some things around, maybe sit everyone down and be like, hey, this was a problem, or even give these VFX or some other people that give them a little bit of hope. They're like, oh, hey guys, I wrote the script for this. It took me 10 minutes and I was on Adderall, but I think this, and this is a bad idea. We might want to retool this movie a little bit more than just VFX, and maybe give those other people kind of a foot to stand on, now that whoever said that this design was good in the first place has been humbled because they're fucking retarded, Because I'm sure these VFX artists were screaming like, "Bro, we cannot have this more human design. Let's stick with the original. It will be better for fans. It looks better." They're like, "No, make him lengthy and disgusting now." And they're like, "Okay, shit, I'm sorry, boss. Don't fire me." But now we might have more people standing up within the company, kind of being like, "Oh, hey, the story's kind of shit too. If you want to kind of redo that a bit." And we'll see what comes as time progresses, and maybe more people will be willing to stand up, and we might actually get a good Sonic movie out of this. I kind of doubt it, because there's a lot of money going into it in the first place, with just redoing all this and putting all these people back into work and redoing all the shit that they've been working on for the last few years. So it's interesting to see what comes out of this story and how much Paramount really cares, besides everyone just complaining about the design. If they just fix the design, it's pretty much just throwing a Band-Aid on a hemorrhaging wound at this point. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, we pretty much said our piece about this for the most part. I just wanted to add that. I don't really think there'd be any reason to crack this egg back open and talk about like how fucked up the setting and all the other shit about this movie is. So, Shawn, I know you are.
Oh yeah, real quick.
Go ahead.
So the James Charles thing expanded. He fired back, and without going too far into detail,
James
it threw
Charles.
A little bit of shade.
Oh,
yeah,
the drama. Okay.
It threw a little bit of shade on Tati, and it threw a little bit of shade on the guy I hate, makeup guru, long blonde hair, super gay, Jeffree Star.
Jeffree Star.
And then those two, rather than firing back with facts, instead backed down and said, "You know what? Let's just be friends. Let's squash it. Nobody needs this drama," which kind of throws them as suspect. But that's kind of over. Everybody's bouncing back. She apparently made a shitload of money off of her product and off the video and stuff like that, according to some expert calculations. And the pro Jared Heidi Holly situation has expanded and deepened, and I am not going to go into the details because I think they're all kind of gross at this point. But Holly was revealed to have been gloating, and there's been heavy suspicion placed on how much of what she said was factually accurate. Holly has gone on record as saying that there is proof that's tied up legally right now, that the people Jared talked to all said they were of age, and that he was in a toxic relationship with Heidi, and yes, she was telling him to get out of the relationship. She never denied that she was in a relationship with Jared. She talked about how for a very long time they weren't. I think she basically talked around it and kind of admitted to it. And Jared has said next to nothing. He did come out and say one thing about how he was in a relationship with Heidi and it wasn't good, and she had agreed to be polyamorous, and then he tried it, and then she stepped back from it and said no. And there's also, they've identified who Heidi's boyfriend was that she was seeing while she was married, and all this kind of garbage. So it's gone much more in the drama route and much less. There's still not a lot of attention being paid to did he solicit and groom underage people, or did he not, which is really the only point. Like, Ross is doing fine. Holly, Heidi, and Jared, I don't know who the bad guy is. I don't fucking really give a shit. But nobody, it still hasn't been determined if he did anything illegal or not. And if it's proven that he did nothing illegal, then I don't give a fuck about the rest. Like, I still think his gaming videos were decent. I still think Holly and Heidi do good costumes. And I think there's a good chance one, both, or all three of them are mental. I am less inclined to think it's Jared, just based, but only slightly less inclined. Because his on-screen presence has never been somebody that is mental, whereas I could believe that Holly and Heidi are mental by how they behave, especially Holly, because she's also, to be fair, she's eccentric. But anyway, that's that. I have unsubscribed from everyone until the air clears.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a cancel culture guy. I don't normally do that, but just it keeps my conscience a little bit clearer. That's all. So. it's not like JonTron or Pewds where the lines were pretty clear to me. Like, this is not a clear situation, and I don't really give a fuck about the drama. But as it turns, like, James Charles is not being investigated. He denied his behavior. A few people backed him up. I find it very believable because I've been around. I've had gay friends that were like that and that would do such things. And when you're younger and you're friends with people and they're doing stuff, it doesn't seem like such a big deal. And then when you get older and you look back and you have more wisdom and more compassion and you're a little less selfish, you start to think that maybe certain things are pretty inhuman to do.
Yeah.
And I can easily believe that he would be the type to do that, but that doesn't mean that the other two aren't assholes either. So that's that. That's Shawn's drama alert. We're done.
Gotcha. Shawn's drama alert. So this will be pretty much the last thing we kind of delve into. So if you're not a big Final Fantasy 14 fan, I know there's actually, I think at this point, the amount of people that listen, obviously, there's a bit more that actually play the game than don't play the game that I've gotten into it over the time. But we're going to talk a little bit.
If you do decide to get into it, let us know so that I can send you an invite and you get good stuff.
Yeah, and we'd love to have you. We have a guild, and the game is fantastic. You've heard me gush about it enough over the years. But, so, we do have a new expansion coming in July 2nd. And recently, they have these things called a letter from the producer. They're basically these big events where they show off what will be coming, some changes that will be made to the game. We're just going to discuss them. I'm going to go over the slideshow that some of the changes they talked about, because they're making a lot of changes overall to the game systems as a whole, how we feel about them, how we think they might change or not change what we currently have in Final Fantasy as Shadowbringers is kind of rolled out to everybody. So, first thing, 6 new areas being added. Awesome. Can't wait to see. New city is the Crystarium, and we're getting 2 new jobs, the Gunbreaker and Dancer. Both look cool, and the cap is being raised from 70 to 80. I'm going to skip over some of the smaller things. They're adding a NPC assist system, Shawn, which I think I think we've talked about it before. But basically, in MMO terms, if you don't know, so say you are a DPS, a lowly DPS. Now, DPS queues, because you're trying to find a group, since there's so many DPS, literally a dime a dozen, like you can find one on every street corner begging for spare change, there tends to be a long queue time for DPS. But they're adding a system in now where you can queue into a matchmaking instance. So something like a dungeon, which usually takes 4 people, you can queue with something called an assist system. Now, this system is something you can opt in and out of. And basically all it does is if it's taking too long to find a queue, the game will automatically fill in members that are harder to find with NPCs. So you can have little AI buddies helping you. So if you can have an AI tank or an AI healer. And from the later instances in the game where these characters do exist, they do a pretty good job of reacting to what's going on. And the AI is okay. It's obviously no replacement for an actual human, but if you do want to be able to do the content and you're just having such a hard time because you've been queued for literally 45 minutes and you haven't been able to find anything, it will help you progress a little bit further without being kind of burdened by your class choice kind of thing. So that's coming in. There's 2 new beast tribes coming in, the new Mo and the Pixies, which I showed off in the benchmark. The world visit system is being implemented. So now if you want to go to another server within your data center, you can leave and go hang out in there, meet some new friends, and do whatever you want. And it's cool when you leave, you also get a thing called Wanderer. So people know you're from a different server. Sometimes you get a little bit more attention here or there. You kind of converse, say hi to others and stuff like that. I've tested it and I had fun kind of hanging out with other people, and I had some dude go and show me his house, which I thought was fucking cool, and we kind of hung out, and it just, again, just MMO things. It's fucking dope. They're kind of reworking the fate system. Nothing huge there. You get additional currencies. Side quests are being level synced now, which isn't anything major. They're adding more role quests, basically help, what what am I trying to do here? So, Shawn, you know how when you start the game, you get to do a bunch of quests that teach you how to play the game?
What was that?
You know how when you start the game, Shawn, they give you a bunch of quests that teach you how to play the game?
Yeah.
It's like that, but now there's a story to it. So you're retracing the steps of the first, since you were in the first crystal, the people that fell during the fights before the flood of light came. You're retracing their story, and then you get to do that. They're adding more stories for the crafting and stuff like that. The UI is getting a light skin. So normally it's gray, so now you can make it like white paper, which if you've played the game, it's the PvP kind of color. All right, we also saw basically TP, MP be merged together. And in order to accommodate for people that normally spam AoEs in order to get AoE damage out, because they all use TP, they basically retooled everything into mana. And now, to allow for spam to still be a thing, a lot of spells will be gaining a charging system, or a charged action system is what they're calling it. And as the ability sits, it will constantly tick through its cooldown. It will have a constant cooldown for when it comes back up. And it will gain a stack, an additional charge from chilling out for a few hours, or for a few minutes or whatever. And then you'll be able to cast the ability quickly multiple times, but the moment it runs out of stacks, you have to wait for it to regain those stacks back up. They only show in the PowerPoint 2 stacks, so I don't know what the limit will be. It'll probably vary based on the ability, but you can consume the actions and you can use the action whenever you want, so that's nice. That's kind of their answer, which is what, from thinking about me talking with like Nick and Hector about what they might do with this system, it was something we came up with, like a stacking system. Now they're also putting more of an emphasis on interruption, Shawn, which is a thing that exists in the game already, but now there'll be more things to let you know, hey, this ability can be interrupted. You can interrupt it, and it will help for keeping that information more understood. They're also redoing all of the role actions. So tanks, healers, everyone's getting new role actions. Ooh, excuse me. They're going to be reworking the pets to make them easier, where you'll have one ability that makes them use their special ability. And then, so basically, the pet bar is not as large, and it doesn't change when you switch out new pets. They changed the damage limit from 999,000 to 9,999,000 to give you an idea of what kind of damage we'll be doing at the end of the expansion. Now, Shawn, if you put a shield on someone, instead of it just sitting on them until it goes away, now you'll actually see it reflected on their health bar as a yellow thing. So you'll know how big your shield is and how much shield they have available on them when they when they go. There'll be more of an effectiveness of rigid party composition, and they'll be changing synergies between jobs. So like reducing slashing, blunt, and piercing resistances. All those debuffs will be removed, and they'll be revising action values to accommodate for that. And they're going to be emphasizing the synergy of the dancer job, which, from what I've heard from Reddit, Shawn, the way it works is that you can actually pick a dancing partner. You don't actually dance together, but I think that's like what your buffs are being passed on to as you play, kind of thing. So you have a partner you're dancing with, quote unquote, and that's how your buffs are passed along, because they still are a support DPS class in how they play. So that's pretty cool. They're also completely removing the tanks dancing. So you know how your paladin, Shawn, right? You have your shield oath and your sword oath.
Yeah.
They're taking that out. So now, instead of switching between, you'll just have an enmity generating stance and a non-enmity generating stance. So if you want to go from, right now in Final Fantasy, if you want to go from tanking to doing DPS, you don't have to hit one ability, you have to hit two. Depending on it depends on the class you are. Like for the paladin, you just switch over to shield. But you have to move to a different ability. Because remember, they're working on kind of crunching abilities down so there's not as many to use. So now you'll just have one button you press, and it will either go from your tank to your DPS. It'll just be something you toggle in between. So it's not as clunky to switch if you need to do like a tank swap mid-fight or something like that. Also, they're going to be changing the way tanks work, and that they'll be more focused on pure damage reduction as percentages. And there'll be additional buffs designed for both off tanks and main tanks that will be added that will let your playstyle change depending on what you're doing. There's a funny meme that came out of it that basically in the PowerPoint they straight up said that your job effectiveness will vary depending on skill. So like basically telling people that like, hey, get good kind of thing. And that's been all over fucking Reddit. But so the tank stances themselves will be adjusted. Damage dealt and received reductions / max MP increase effects will be removed entirely. So now it will only your enmity generation will be increased, and you can turn that off and on. Enmity generating combos are being removed. So now you don't have like an enmity generating combo and a non-enmity generating combo. You'll just have your one combo, and the combos will now be more focused on increasing defensive properties instead of just generating enmity. So making it now where enmity is still there and it still has to be focused on, but the focus isn't just enmity. And that's kind of one problem people had with tanks, is that they all felt the same because their main goal was to generate enmity, and then they had some things here and there, but now they'd be more focusing on the kit of the tank because enmity is not as important. So they could focus more on the kit, the tanks, and how they differentiate from one another instead of just having that one requirement where your main goal is to generate enmity. Now tanks will serve more of a varied purpose across all of them instead of it just being you have your enmity generator here that can also that can suffer damage. Now there'll be more uniqueness amongst the tanks. They're also changing healing. Protect is being entirely removed. So no longer you'll have to use Protect, which, I mean, it's useless. It really does not serve a purpose besides something you do before a fight starts. They're going to be changing all three healers. White mages will be receiving an instant heal to mitigate the cast times of their other abilities. The scholar's pet actions will all be revised, while direct heals and barrier magic will be adjusted. And they're going to be reworking the astrologian and their stances and card effects to kind of, again, they're kind of taking these classes and further differentiating them and making them all serve a greater purpose outside of just healing kind of thing, which is, again, it's all nice. I love seeing diversity amongst classes in these types of games because it gives you a reason to try other things out. They're going to be going back to more traditional design concepts in relation to Final Fantasy XI, which had fantastic class design, and mechanics will be revised accordingly. The Monk, Dragoon, Ninja, Samurai, Black Mage, and Red Mage will be mostly unchanged, besides more abilities being added, but the Bard, Mechanist, and Summoner will be undergoing changes. The Mechanist will be undergoing significant changes, so they'll be reworking the Mechanist as a whole, which is cool, because right now, Mechanist Endgame is not fun. The Overheat's not fun. Class is not fun. There's too much luck focused on it. I would love to see maybe more of a focus on ammo type, like being able to use different types of ammo. Not necessarily ones you'd carry in your bag, but being able to switch between ammo types or something like that. And then the Bard and Summoner mechanics will be partially reworked as well. On top of all of this, they'll be, of course, adding between the 70 and 80 skill or level cap. They'll be adding more abilities to every class as well. So a lot is going on into changes and things being retooled and rebalanced. For the most part, I don't have issue with pretty much any of these changes. I think they're all pretty good. And a lot of these things are not useful, the things that are being taken out. So like Protect, TP. They weren't vital to the systems of the game, so the game won't ultimately suffer. We're just seeing more of a change to open up room to accommodate more stuff kind of thing, more abilities kind of thing. Because one of the biggest issues they had was that the fact that right now, Endgame, I have 30-something abilities I have to press on my Dark Knight. 32-something abilities that I have to press. So they can't add another 6. Because they're making it where it's too hard to manage all of these abilities. which, I mean, again, you could say like, "Oh, being a bitch" kind of thing, but like it's something that you can overexert yourself in how many abilities you have, and they're not taking anything out of kits; they're just retooling it, so the kit still serves the same purpose. It's just being accommodated to allow for it's being or condensed to accommodate for more space. So they can further open up these classes into the respective niches they intend on taking them without having the class suffer from having too much within its rotation, which is a thing. You don't want, because you can have not enough downtime and you can have too much downtime when you're playing, and downtime's like the time where you're not doing anything, like you're not pressing any buttons, not working to something. And having like little to zero downtime or taking it too long to get to the end of your rotation can be problematic as well, as just as much as not having a big rotation as well. So you got to kind of keep it in a nice little middle ground, so you're not going all over the place. They also showed off the dancer and some of the abilities. It looks really fucking cool. I'm excited to try it out. And that's a lot of the larger changes. This is only the first letter from the producer. I think we have one or two more on the way, where they'll talk a little bit more about other things coming to the game. But this was the first big information drop coming from Square about what's going into 5.0 when it does launch July 2nd. So this is just just a big info dump of what's going on. It all happened live. There were sound issues. It was pretty fucking funny seeing the memes come from the stream and stuff like that. But that's the biggest thing. Is there anything that you just to kind of include you in the conversation, Shawn, is there anything that you heard that either worries you or something that you'd like to see added in 5.0 to a certain role, or something you'd like to see taken out as we move forward in the game and we move into this new expansion?
Everything I like, everything I heard so far, I like the condensing. It does feel like some abilities have been spread out in a way that is a little unnecessary. Like the whole one thing just flipping back and forth as a toggle makes more sense.
Yeah, the tanks dancing.
When they released Stormblood, they already partially redefined some of the classes. Like the White Mage went from being the go-to de facto power healer to being something that's more effective in small groups and as a DPS healer.
They also removed
the White Mage.
They removed Stone Skin entirely when Stormblood came out as well. That was something we had before we had Protect. It was like a big shield you could apply to the team before you move forward. And now we're seeing Protect leave, which is just like kind of a percentage buff to your team. And again, if the game's retooled around it, it's just something unnecessary to a degree. Like, it's not something you could use in combat. It's just something you use to prep for combat, but it doesn't have as big of an impact on combat itself, where it's something that it's just something, it's not necessary. It's like an older thing that existed from a while ago, and it just doesn't serve a purpose in the view that they have for the game going forward.
So what I was saying is that the different classes had different identities prior to Stormblood, and then when Stormblood came out, like certain classes had their kits ripped apart. The White Mages lost a few abilities they were given to Paladin, I believe, and I think one of the other abilities just went to another class, and so on, and they became a DPS healer. So I don't think that I think that trying to redefine classes again would be a mistake. So it makes sense that they're more refining the kits instead of
completely changing
and redefining how they work. And Arcanist needs some work. I mean, it's a fun class to play, but it needs some work. I think it would do well to deepen the strategy of how you use the characters, but not make them more difficult. I mean, I guess there is a certain it is kind of a point of pride to be able to master a difficult class for folks like Nick and so on, who we play with. But for somebody who's still a neophyte when it comes to MMOs, like my experience with MMOs is a couple of cell phone MMOs, which are more like cell phone MMOs typically run more old school. They're more just super grind and less deep. but I would like to be able to approach a class and understand what I'm doing and how to use it. So I'd like to see them retool the explanations, because there's just buku abilities in that game that just do not explain themselves well. 90% of your understanding of how classes work just comes from how many MMOs you've played. And I've heard you with like different abilities, and you're like, I don't get it. What? Oh wait, this is like that other game. And then you've got a handle on it. But I don't have other games that I've played before.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of dicking around in ESO and the D&D game, which they are very different beasts entirely. So I don't know. I like what they're doing with it so far. I still struggle to. Part of it's just not using a computer, because it's a lot easier when you've got these big bars that you can put on the bottom of your screen. I can't do that. But the game's been designed from the ground up to work on a console first, and it was easy to make it functional on a computer. So I'd like to see them be even friendlier with the console in terms of the strategy of how to use the different abilities and how to explain them.
Yeah, as long as they're not neutering anything, I'm down for that. What was I gonna say? Fuck. I mean, you can have bars on your screen that show, like, if you need, like, cooldown per se. So say, like, you have your main bar, and then you have obviously your other ones that are on your triggers.
I know. Yes, I know that.
Yeah.
Giving me a coaching thing on the podcast isn't going to be helpful. I have a cooldown bar. That's not the problem.
Oh, then, because I've seen plenty of people actually play and stream and raid and do all the endgame stuff on PC, but with a controller, a gamepad, and they prefer that just because it's chill.
They know how to set up bars and how to use different abilities in conjunction. Not all of us do. Like, I've gotten a fairly okay grasp on it, but there's still certain things that I just didn't even think to look at in a certain way that you identified and you clued me in. Like, you're my senpai when it comes to this fucking MMO shit, for sure. Like, normally, if I'm not clear on something, you're the first person I go to ask about it, because you've got just a much greater grasp on it. But compared to when we started playing, like, I don't approach you nearly as much. I get it more and more as I go on. So Final Fantasy is good about that. I just think their explanations could. They're not exactly user friendly.
That I agree with. I think I might have either misunderstood, or the way it was worded was a bit funky, but it sounded like almost like making the game simplifying things to a degree where you're, in a sense, almost neutering class design.
No. Simplifying it to use. To, like, all right, when I'm reading, you're gonna just need to cut this shit out of the podcast, but when I'm reading how to use abilities and then trying to figure out how to put them on a bar, and then it's very difficult to set up the bars and then figure out what order I'm supposed to be using things in. And when I'm struggling to set up a bar, at the same time I'm struggling to understand how to use the abilities, I think they could streamline that. I think they could make that easier to approach. I don't want them to change how it works.
Gotcha. I'm probably not going to cut that out. I thought that was going to go much longer, but that's not cut out worthy. Come on. All right. Well, that's most of the main changes. Get pumped. Most people that did not care have left already anyway. So those who do care.
Oh, I would have found it boring.
Oh, definitely. But this is definitely something for people that play the game. But we got a few people that do tune in that play this game. So that's the only reason I covered it. And everyone knows I particularly enjoy this stuff a lot too. And it's cool to see what's coming new. And if you want to join us, we'd love to have you. We have a guild. We have a house. We're working on getting bigger and being able to do stuff together. I'm pretty much the only person at Endgame, but we're working on getting everyone else caught up. So it's exciting stuff.
Is that Endgame?
He is not. He says he is. He is not. I talked to him actually about it earlier. He's close, but he is not. Like, there's still a lot that he has to actually do to be able to do a lot of the endgame stuff. So he's not even geared for it. So not necessarily at endgame. You're not at endgame until you're bleeding 390 gear out your ass crack, boy.
By the
But
way, I didn't mean to say what you. I mean, what you were saying was kind of boring, but I didn't mean to say what you were. I meant what I was saying. I didn't think anybody would be interested in hearing.
oh no, all of that was boring to someone who doesn't play the game, 100%. But that again, we prefaced it beforehand, so it's not a big fucking deal. But we appreciate y'all for hanging out.
Absolutely.
Um,
And just so you know, I have been playing Final Fantasy 15 the entire time we've been podcasting. That is my dedication to you dudes.
yeah, dude, I heard it a few times. I'm like, oh man, this man playing Final Fantasy 15, cool. I will never touch that game again, most likely. So, but before we
I'm
go,
enjoying it a lot more the second time around. A lot like Final Fantasy, was it 12 actually, the one with Vaughn.
nice. The story was and the characters were cool. The combat was and the story was cool.
I didn't think the combat was worthy of Final Fantasy, but I think the story was the most damaged part for me. You even with all the expansions, you still only have 3/4 of a story. There's still 25% of it they didn't get to put in or didn't write properly, and that's awful. Like, there's never been a Final Fantasy with an incomplete story. The closest one is 13, and by the time you've played all 3 of them, you have a complete story. It's just convoluted and partially silly.
Yeah.
But the rest of them have always been a cohesive experience, and if you missed it, it was just because it was deep, and you needed, like, 7 was probably the only one that I missed the first time I played it, and that was because I accidentally skipped a huge chunk of it. And so that it was very confusing to me, but now I understand it.
All right.
And I think the story is fantastic. Having layered deep stories is important, but this one they went deep and then subtracted 25% of it.
All right. So, before we call an episode, as we always do, Shawn, hit him with it.
Hugs and kisses and little tongue-tip nibbles on all your pink parts.
Hot. Also, before we go, I shall leave you all with a fact. Firehouses have circular stairways originating from the old days when the engines were pulled by horses. The horses were stabled on the ground floor and figured out how to walk up straight staircases.